Next up, we will be making this heart ring 2 different ways. We're going to start off by using 20 gauge wire, and I chose a silver plated copper wire. We're going to need a ring mandrel. I chose size 7. We also have a file as well as a ruler. We will be using the wire cutters as well as nylon jaw pliers or wire straightener, and a needle nose plier and a flat nose plier. We are going to use the wire straighteners to smooth out the wire before we even start creating our design. Next, we are going to be placing the wire on the ruler at 2.5 inches for the size 7 ring that we're making. If you're making a larger size ring, obviously you'll need more wire, or less wire if you're making a smaller ring. Keeping our fingers at that 2.5 inch mark, we're going to grab the flat nose pliers and place them at that point, and then create a sharp V shape in the wire. Placing the base of that V at the 2.5 inch mark, we're going to hold that measurement with our fingers and cut off the wire. With the needle nose pliers, we will now create the top of the heart. Placing the wire into the very tip of the pliers, we're going to bring that long end of the wire down and around to create a loop. We want the wire to end up being straight out horizontally from what will be our completed heart, as this will create the band of the ring. Moving to the other side of the heart, we are going to take that wire and repeat the same steps, wrapping it down and around, bringing it straight out the side to create the loop and finish the heart shape. Once we have created the loops, we'll go back with our fingers and the pliers to make sure that the heart shape is symmetrical before we begin creating the band. Before moving on to the band of the ring, we're going to take the nylon jaw pliers and flatten out the design. With the ring mandrel, we will now create the band of the ring by wrapping both ends of the wire and crisscrossing them around the ring mandrel. Pressing the wire tightly against the mandrel to give it its shape as well as the size. We want to keep the bottom of the ring centered with the heart on top of the ring, and placing our thumb at that point, we're going to bend the wire straight down. Then we're going to move to the other end of the wire and do the same thing, making sure that it is centered with the heart. We're going to take that other end of the wire and bend it straight up. Next, with the needle nose pliers, we're going to place them into that bend and take the end of the wire, wrapping it around to create a loop. Placing the wire into the pliers at the same depth as the first loop ensures that our second loop is the same size. Then we are going to use the wire cutters to cut off the excess wire, and I want to do this from the inside of the loop. Having snipped off the excess wire, we are going to use the needle nose pliers to tighten down the loops, making sure the ends are tight against the band. This ring is now completed, unless you want to do a few finishing touches like here, using the nylon jaw pliers to make sure everything's flat, and placing it on the ring mandrel one time to resize it and make sure that it is in the correct shape. Now we are going to be making the same ring again, but with a non-adjustable band. All the steps for creating this ring are the same except for once we get to the closure. For this size 7 ring, we are going to measure 3 inches out on our wire, create a sharp bend in the wire, measure 3 more inches, and cut off the extra wire, giving us a total of 6 inches for a size 7 ring. Now grabbing our needle nose pliers, we will create the heart shape itself. Remember when creating the heart to place the wire into the pliers at the same depth on both sides of the heart so that that loop or the circle shape there is the same size on both sides to give the heart a symmetrical look. Once you have the initial heart shape, you can go back with the pliers or your fingers and bend the wire to adjust the heart a little more just to make sure it looks even. Once we have finished creating the heart shape, we can go on to making the band. This is where the design changes because we are not making an adjustable band, but a secured closed one. Placing the wire onto our ring mandrel, we're going to wrap it around to create the initial circle of the band. Watching to see where the center of our heart is, we're going to take one end of the wire and bend it straight down, making sure that that bend is centered with the heart on the top side of the ring. With the first wire bent down straight along the mandrel, we're going to bring the second wire, bending it up in the opposite direction of the first wire. At this point, to create a sharper bend in the wire, we're going to, I guess you could say, overextend the wire and bring it past the point at which we really want it. Once the wire has been overbent or overextended, however you want to say it, we are going to bring the wire back so that each end is straight up and down. Next, we're going to take the ring off of the mandrel so that we can take both ends of the wire and begin wrapping them around the band of the ring. Holding the ring securely, we are going to wrap the wire around the band of the ring, alternating sides. Wrapping the one side, turning around, wrap the other side until we have wrapped that wire around 2 or 3 times. Pulling the wire tightly so that that coil that we are creating is nice and tight. As we bring the wire around, wrapping it onto the band of the ring, we can also place the ring back onto the ring mandrel and use our nylon jaw pliers or flat nose pliers to help tighten up the coil as we wrap it around so that everything is tight, there's no gaps, and it just helps give the ring a really nice finished look. You want to wrap the wire around the band of the ring a minimum of 2 times, but you can really wrap it if you have left yourself enough extra wire. You can wrap that band all the way up with your extra wire, or I like to do about 3 or 4 times around before grabbing my wire cutters, my wire snips, and cutting off the wire as close as possible. And then I grab the file to smooth down any rough ends and maybe grab the flat nose pliers just to make sure everything is tight and smooth, that none of the ends will catch anything when it's being worn. Like I mentioned, grabbing the flat nose pliers to press down, as you can see here, pressing down the ends of the wire to make sure that everything is tight, squeezing together the coils if you need to, just however you like, however finished you want your ring to look. I prefer having a closed, tight coil. Some people like to leave it more open, or a looser wrap, I guess you could say. But really that's just up to you. Just want to make sure that the ends are down so that they don't catch on anything, and then file everything smooth to finish out the wrap. Now here we have both rings, the silver one with the adjustable and the gold with the secured closure. And there you have it, the heart ring, 2 different ways. Let me know in the comments which one you prefer.